Hello, and thank you for joining us for Live with Jesse and Melva. And we are feeling live today. You just see one live one right now, but you're going to see the other live one in just a second. So I'm so happy that you joined us on our step-by-step journey with Veronica. We've been talking about Veronica for 7, 8 weeks. And the reason why we're taking our time with this is because her story has so many layers. And these layers apply to others as well who are going through an experience of betrayal. In Veronica's case, is betrayal based on an affair that her husband um, had, not once, not twice, but several years, several times over their almost 2 decades of being together. So here's what we're going to cover this time. Um, we're going to cover her story. This is part 8. And we're looking at the pieces of her plan that is going to be so important for her to have in place. And we're going through them layer by layer so that you can see what she went through. And also, if you're going through a situation of betrayal, it could be in any form. Maybe these tips and tools that Veronica used for her own healing and growth and transformation, maybe they can apply to you as well. So we're going to focus. So this time we're focusing on Veronica's spiritual health. We think that mental health, physical health, spiritual health, they're different elements and layers of health that need to be attended to. Actually, they need to be attended to on a regular basis. And when you're going through a challenge, it's especially important to pay attention. We're going to talk about how this growth supports her growth and transformation and how you could use this yourself for your own growth and transformation. And we're also going to invite a, excuse me, a complimentary consultation. We're still doing those. We're preparing for our 5-week class that we're going to be doing in the near future. We'll be telling you more about that. And we're also going to be doing some online coaching. We'll be telling you about that too. All right, so let's get started. Now there's a checklist. I mean, Veronica has been doing some work. And so far there's 8 things that she did so far. So she created a safe space for inner reflection. And Jesse and I are we're real focused on how important that is, because you need to have a safe space. You need to have some place to go on the inside to reflect about life. And it could be anything in life, because the idea, we're talking about growth and transformation, but you have to have some place where you can be quiet so that you can process. So she did that. The second thing she did was she knows what she can and cannot change. And probably, I should say, who she can and cannot change. She cannot change Vernon and his choices and his decisions, but she sure can change hers. She can change her reactivity to being more responsive in a thoughtful way. And we gave some examples about that in earlier shows. She decided how she wants to feel. She doesn't want to be angry all the time. She doesn't want to feel powerless and hopeless. No, she wants to feel the opposite. She wants to feel peace. She wants to feel powerful. She wants to feel hopeful. And going through these steps, it's supporting her to do just that. She has a vision of what she's going to look like when she feels that. I mean, she really has an idea of how she's going to be showing up in life as a peaceful, purposeful, hopeful woman. And she'll be confident in more and more of who she is. She established her starting point. So it's important to know where you want to be with your vision. It's also important to be real clear about where you're starting, not from a place of judgment or criticism, but you need to have awareness of where you're starting. I keep thinking about when I was in high school and the track meets. That's where I did the cheerleading. And one of my favorite, actually I like a lot of the events, but the relay race was one of them. But all of the races, when they started off, they had a starting point and then they had a destination. And of course, when the winner got there first, they got all the spoils, but so she needs to know exactly where she's starting so that she knows where the gap is between where she is and where she wants to be. We call it, Michael Beckwith calls it, God's area of preparation. And she definitely is preparing for her journey. Actually, she's on the journey. She's in the gap. She's not stuck in the gap. She's moving forward in the gap. She also clarified her values in terms of what is important for her. She's real clear about that now. And she looked at the feelings that she wants to have and she matched them up with her core values. And then she came up with a plan. So this is part of her plan. All these pieces are going to be for the blueprint that she's going to have for her growth and transformation. She focused on her mental health last time. Okay, so that's her checklist so far. She's got more to add. And the one piece that we're going to add this time is attending to her spiritual health. Oh boy, is that important. And so here's the thing that it's important to know what I mean, what we mean when referring to spiritual health. When we think about spiritual health, because there's so many different ways of looking at it, and spiritual health is different for different people. For us, it is about purpose and meaning in life. And when people are very clear about their purpose and their meaning in life, they have a certain kind of focus. And when they're focused and they're operating from that template, from that framework, the best qualities and characteristics of them come out. It just shows up. The whole idea when you're going through anything in life, the happy times and the stressful times, is who you become in the process. And so what Veronica is going through as she's taking these steps, she's getting clearer and clearer about who she's becoming. So that's part of her purpose and the meaning that she's looking at. So here's the thing for Veronica. One thing that she decided a long time ago, way before she met Vernon, and that was her spiritual quest and focus is that she truly decided that she wanted to become a conduit for God, and therefore express the highest and best part of herself in all of her life situations, including her marriage. And she also decided before she met Vernon that challenges were going to become opportunities for growth, for developing more and more into her best self. Now, she already had a lot of those qualities operating. She was already compassionate. She was already smart. She was already supportive. She was already a person who knows how to connect with people on all different levels. So she had a lot going for her, and she's ready to tap into more and to express that. Now, she got a little distracted, each time there was an affair, she got a little distracted because she was so flooded with emotion. It was really difficult for her to get to that space on the inside where she could tap into that core energy. So this time was a little different because this time was the straw that broke the camel's back. So she knew that before she could really tap into doing this part of the work, that she had to do her grief work. And she did that last time. We talked about that last time when we talked about attending to her mental health. So why is attending to spiritual health important? Well, the first reason is it connects to what I was saying earlier, and that it connects all of us to a deeper meaning in life. Because life has meaning, and I've heard, and I'm sure that you've heard before as well, that when people go through things, and sometimes tragedy, many times people will say, there was a reason for this. there is what happened has meaning. Viktor Frankl, when he was in the concentration camp, um, one of the things that he talked about was tapping into the meaning of all of this. I mean, because he and all the others were in a terrible, horrific situation, and he was able to find meaning in all of that. Now, I don't know if I could have, um, but who knows? However, I do know that life brings to us situations that has meaning to support us to do what we are here to do on this earth, which leads to point number 2, why spiritual health is important and attending to it. There's a couple of questions, 3 questions, I mean, that gets answered when we think this through. And one is, who am I? And who do I want to be? And you can see different layers of who you are based on whatever situation that you're dealing with. It's the challenges that tells you how you deal with them, what the opportunities are for growth. Because if you're reactive instead of thoughtfully responsive, then what happens is you miss, if you don't do anything about it, you miss the opportunity to figure out, well, what's really happening here. What is it that is trying to grow within me? Because when I'm in my reactive mode, sometimes I'm operating like a 5-year-old or maybe an adolescent. So anyway, so it answers that question: who am I? Why am I here? And who are all these other people? Because not only do we as individuals have a purpose in life, the people who come into our lives, they have a purpose for being in our lives, and we have a purpose for being in their lives. And having a purpose and focusing on meaning, one of the things I love about that is that it provides a lens and a filter for tunnel vision. Like many times people have tunnel vision about being stuck in a negative mode or what have you. How about having tunnel vision that's focused on the big picture, the big why of being on this earth, the big why of being in relationship, and having blind spots to anything that's going to take us off track. And see, that's what Veronica did. She got in touch with her bigger purpose, and she stayed focused on that day after day. Now, she did get off track when there were upsets with Vernon, and I'm going to give you an example in just a few minutes about how she turned that around. And so that focus is powerful. You see, Veronica is still human, and she still gets triggered just like the rest of us. And so even though she had a practice of staying focused, she would tend to get off track every time Vernon would have an affair. But this time she got off track for moments, I would say. And then when those feelings subsided, when she was in her sacred space, she said she just took the time to be quiet so that she could get back on track. Because when she was quiet, she remembered how important it was to be focused. I'm looking over this way because Jesse is joining us now. Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
But she remembered after she and Vernon separated, and she started doing her daily practice. She got back on track. Okay, so how did she do it? What exactly did she do? I'm talking about Veronica again.
Yeah.
And how she's doing her work.
Yep.
And how she's doing her spiritual work this time.
And one way or the other, it always comes back to that.
Always.
You know.
There you go. I can see you clearly now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you said always comes back to that.
It always comes back to that. I mean, one way or the other, you're going to end up doing your personal work. You cannot rely upon or depend upon someone else to do that for you. You have to do it on your own. And so, in fact, in relationships, every time that we have these hiccups, what I'll call them for now, uh, you're going to come back to the same place, which is I got to do this work myself for myself in order for me to live the life that I want to live. And so it always comes back to that.
Always, always. And here's some of the things that she did. Well, the first thing she did in terms of attending to her spiritual health was going into that sacred space, so that she could go within. And one thing that was important for her was to listen to that still small voice, because that still small voice has wisdom to guide us and to keep us on track. Now, if it's loud, then you know it's not the right voice. It's the still small voice. It's almost like a whisper.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that she was listening for.
That's true.
So that's the first thing she did. So the second thing she did was she focused on her vision to be her best self. So she knew that she had a lot on track in terms of what she was doing that was in alignment, but she also knew that there was room for improvement. And so what she did as a practice on a day-to-day basis in her sacred space, she would ask herself a couple of questions. And one question was, what will I focus on today? Now, when we think about that, when I think about that, I think about what do I want to focus on? I want to focus on expressing one of the best qualities of me. It might not be activated, it might be underground, but I want to tap into it and express it for that day. We call those beatitudes. The third thing that she did was that she decided to do the right thing in the right way at the right time by mining for the hidden treasures within her, so that the impact was whatever response that she had to any life situation, it would serve the highest and greatest good. Meaning, as Michelle Obama would say, she decided that she was going to take the high road no matter what. Didn't mean it was going to always be easy, but setting the intention makes all the difference in the world. Then she decided that she was going to review a challenge that she had the day before. And wouldn't you know it, she had one with Vernon. Let me tell you what happened. She got a notice that a credit card bill was like 3 months late. And she's the kind of person that wants the bills paid on time. I mean, that's one of her values and what have you. Vernon tends to forget. So when she was talking to Vernon about it, she could tell that she was getting riled up and getting upset. I mean, really upset. So what she decided to do, rather than say anything while she was feeling that way, she said to Vernon, you know what? I'll call you back. I'll call you back. So she went into her sacred space. And the first thing that she did was she pulled out her Bible. And, you know, sometimes some of us will open up our Bible and there will be the perfect scripture to read at that time that is so in alignment with whatever is going on in her life. So she saw one that spoke to her. So then she sat there in meditation for about 10, 20 minutes. And while she was sitting there, she heard that whisper. And that whisper was in total alignment with what she read in scripture, right? So now that she had that and she felt really grounded in what to do. So here's what happened. When she felt completely ready, she didn't do it before she was ready. When she was completely ready, she called Vernon back. So she said to Vernon in a calm voice, because before she was so upset, and she didn't want to go off on him. So she said to him, I have an idea, because paying these bills on time has been a problem throughout our marriage. And so I have an idea about how we can turn this around. Vernon was shocked because he thought that he was going to get a angry Veronica. So he was curious to know what it was. So she said, why don't we put all of the payments, all the bills on automatic payment? That particular bill and some of the others. Now, Vernon hadn't thought of that. He thought it was a great idea. Now, do you think that she would have come to that idea when she was flooded with feelings and emotions?
No.
I don't either. And so the fact that she took the time to think it through, she came up with an answer that resulted in a triple win. The first win was that those bills were going to be paid on time. The second win was Vernon was off the hook because he does have trouble keeping track of things. You think? Keeping track of those affairs. But anyway, lest I digress. And then the third win was a win for her because in the end, she felt the feelings that she wants to feel: peaceful, hopeful, and powerful. So those are the steps that she took.
And you know, it's unlikely that the two of them would have come to a reasonable and practical solution had they both come at each other angrily. They had to be calmed down and approach each other from a whole different perspective. That's one of the things I'll say before we go on. One other, just emphasize one thing that you said, which I think is really important. And that is, you have to be careful about who you talk to. You know, sometimes we think we can go to the club and we can see somebody there, and we strike up a conversation, and we want to tell them about all our business. Their situation is probably not much better than yours. And so it's doubtful that they have very much they can contribute to you to help you deal with your situation because they haven't resolved their own.
Yeah.
So those two things I just wanted to point out. And, so
Go ahead, what's your thought?
Oh, okay. So that's why it's important to seek the resolution and the help and support of the still small voice, because that is the voice of the divine that wants to speak to you and support you in being able to find a resolution to the problems that you have.
So true. Okay. That's what Veronica did. It's her turn. So we have a couple of questions for you. How are you attending to your spiritual health?
Good question.
And do you have tunnel vision for being on purpose for a life that has meaning for you? Do you have blind spots to anything that's going to keep you off track? Tunnel vision is good when you're focusing on your vision and your highest good. Because when you have blinders to all of those distractions and all of that noise that's around you, that could get you off track, then you're going to be upset over and over and over again. So if you answered no to either one of those questions, our question, I guess that's the fourth question, is what would help you to get into alignment with that? First of all, do you even know your purpose? When we were working with Arnold Patton back in late 80s, early 90s, and one thing that he talked about in his book and also at his weekend seminars, he had all of us doing an exercise called the ideal day. So it's similar to what Veronica does and did in terms of being focused on what she wanted to experience during that day. And so the ideal day exercise was really powerful because it just brought our attention to what to focus on.
Mhm.
So we had tunnel vision for that.
Yes.
The Beatitudes that we send out on social media, it's about having tunnel vision to tap into a hidden treasure within. A beatitude is a mindset. How do I want to think about this today? How do I want to function in alignment with this? What is my goal for the day? Because if you don't have a focus, then anything that happens that day will do in terms of what needs to be addressed. So think about that. And I know I have the slides out of order, Brian.
I hadn't even noticed.
Right. If you would like support in getting started, I kind of switched it, Brian. If you want support in getting started on getting your process started for attending to your mental health, feel free to contact us at jesseandmelva.com/contact us. Just give us your name, first name, and email, and we will call you and we'll set up a time to have a consultation with both of you, with both of us. Okay?
I'm for that.
All right, so let's go back to, we're going back to what we covered, Brian. So here's what we covered today. We covered part 8 of Veronica's story, and it's the 5th part of her action plan for her growth and transformation in this situation. And it's also going to apply to other situations in her life as well. We shared how this connected to her growth and transformation, and encourage you to look at the steps and see if they would be helpful to you. And then we're still inviting complimentary consultations. Any other thoughts, Mr. J? Doesn't have to be, I'm just curious.
Well, I sincerely hope that those of you who are tuning in to our shows really understand how serious we are about wanting to support you to maximize pleasure in your life and minimize pain. And the tools that we offer to you are ways to be able to move from that place so that you have more joy and peacefulness and happiness and fulfillment in your life. So
it's our purpose and our mission.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we live for this. We live for all of this.
Yes, we do.
So in terms of taking questions, if you have questions, feel free to email us. You can put them in the chat in Facebook. And Brian, is there any place else people could put questions? Oh, Jesse and Melva. JESSEandMelva.com. Thank you, Brian. So thank you for joining us on sharing Veronica's story and her journey. There's a lot of Veronicas out there, a lot of Veronicas, and we want to support all of you. Until next time, it's Melva and Jesse. Take care.
watch Live with Jesse and Melva right here on Solivity TV every Sunday at 5:30 Eastern. Solivity Magazine brings you the best in inspiration on Solivity TV. Check out our new shows. Mark your calendars for